Hello everyone. This discourse that I'm going to do now is on the spiritual attribute of inner stability. Now, when we think of the word stability and stable, we're looking at something that stands firm. It's not easily broken apart, it's not easily knocked over, it's not easily disturbed. So when we look at it as inner stability, we're looking at it as inner as our inner, within us. Now, spiritually speaking, we are all stable. It's just that we may not realise it, but our spiritual aspect is our most stable aspect. It's just that our ability to connect with it and receive communication with it, with our higher self, or with our guides through it, that is not always stable. But that is because it's our lower aspect that needs to be working towards inner stability. We mainly look at it as being to do with our mental and our emotional aspects. Now, some human beings are more mentally and emotionally stable than others. With all the pressures of modern society, more and more people have greater amounts of time when they're not terribly stable, or not as stable as they'd like to be mentally and emotionally. Some people have very serious problems with inner stability, and working on the attribute of inner stability alone is not going to be enough to help them. They do need the therapies and treatments that are available to them, and I know that they are not perfect either, that the medical profession is still working on the best ways to help people regain mental and emotional stability. If you're somebody working in those areas of mental and emotional health, knowing about the spiritual attribute of inner stability may help you as a practitioner. Many spiritual people, while not working specifically in those areas, will come across people who need a lot of help to bring about or regain or maintain inner stability. So knowing about this spiritual attribute should help you as well. Not everybody that you come across, you can tell them about this and that they would understand and be able to work with it. So I'm not pushing you towards taking this as a tool and going out into the general public and using it as some kind of a magic wand cure or something like that. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it, if that could be the case. But we need to be looking at it for our own inner stability. For even those of us who think that we are totally without any instabilities at all, have our moments. It's part of the human condition. Even the most stable person will have some event or situation really upset their equilibrium. And when that happens, we can invoke inner stability as a spiritual attribute to help us. It's very good to use it in meditation, to take yourself into a meditation where you can then think about what stability is, what mental stability means to you, because we're looking at it here as a personal tool. So everybody's condition is different. And this may change situationally as well. What stability would mean to you in one situation may not in another. So even though we're talking about mental and emotional stability, it could be that there is an instability in your material life, your daily life, that is actually causing the mental and or emotional instability. So if stability can be brought into your daily life, in the area where it's become unstable, that may be all that's required to restore your mental and emotional equilibrium. So this is where inner stability can be used right down at the right down at the physical level. Now, a lot of people who are sincerely walking their spiritual path have a lot of mental and emotional health issues. Not everyone, but a lot do. And that is to do with the situations that they have chosen to set themselves up in this lifetime, to use those situations as growth opportunities. And I'm not saying that it's easy. And not all are going to succeed terribly well. All that's required is that you try, though. And under no circumstances is this suggesting that you throw away all of your mainstream treatments and go to purely spiritually oriented ones. No. What you want is a balance, because stability has to do with balance. So you want to balance natural therapies, spiritual therapies, lifestyle therapies with what mainstream medical science, behavioural science, psychiatry has to offer. And you, as a spiritual person, will do this from a balanced perspective. You'll question them all. And you'll look at what's right for you. It's okay to have a stance where you're against any form of medication, provided that works for you. Unfortunately, there are some people whose chemical imbalances in their bodies and their brains need assistance. Those people should be allowed to have that assistance without feeling any disapproval from others. But we can't go to the other way, where people go along and insist on taking some kind of a pill because they think it will solve their problems. Balance. So that is something to do with this spiritual attribute of inner stability as well. It's approaching any treatment that you need, emotionally, mentally, and even physically, from a stable point of view. So if you're in a heightened emotional state, not necessarily the best time to accept or reject certain treatments. Unless, of course, your life is on the line. And I'm not talking about those critical situations, emergency situations, where a decision has to be made, boom. I'm talking about those times where you're presented with options and there is time for you to choose, to take time in making a choice. That's where inner stability can be very useful. And not only when it comes to your physical, emotional and mental health, but in other areas of your life, wherever you have to make decisions. Most of the time in decision making, there's pressure. And often under pressure, the emotions get ramped up. We overthink. So our inner stability right now has been shaken. Not the best time to make decisions unless we absolutely have to. So if you find yourself in those situations, take the time to go into meditation or just contemplation, or however you can focus on the spiritual attribute of inner stability and invoke it. You know what I mean by invoke? You are asking it or even commanding it to be active in your life or in a life situation. Maybe you'll find something happens straight away. You'll feel everything sort of clear and become stable. That does happen sometimes. Other times, ideas flash in. Oh, if I do this, if I do that. And then you calm down. And then you can continue your decision making. Or you just have to go away and distract yourself and think, I'll make that decision later. I'm still not feeling up to it. But I've invoked inner stability. It will happen, and I will know I will be able to make my decision. So in one way or another, you will get to a point where you will either see the decision, it'll be shown to you in some way, or you'll reach that point where you're in a calm, maybe even likened to the eye, that calm eye in the center of a cyclone or a hurricane. Okay, where you can make a decision. And just using that analogy of the eye of the cyclone or the hurricane, cyclones and hurricanes are circular. So if you're in the calm center, you can actually turn 360 degrees and look around. Now in the physical storm, there might not be that much to see. But this is that in your own life, getting yourself to that stable point in some way so that you can have a 360 degree turnaround view of whatever it is that is so important, so critical. So all I can do in these discourses, and particularly in this one, is give you a few pointers, point you in a direction, give you something to think about. If you can trust what I'm saying enough to believe this is a tool, this is a spiritual tool, it has cosmic energies and forces attached to it, I can invoke them. I can have it come into my life, into my existence. And as I said, sometimes there's an immediate calm. Depending upon you and your life situation, if there's a lot of turmoil, you may have to reinforce that invoking on a regular basis. You may have to do more following through on ideas that come, accepting and rejecting proposals to do this, that or the other, and gradually, little bit by little bit, getting things under control, because that might be your learning path. I will leave it at this for now, because sometimes a person can say too much. And this is one of those but you have to go within to find. Thank you for listening to me.